What's happening? This is the Tap In Podcast. We are live inside the Tap In studio. I got a special guest in the building, man.
You did.
By way of Memphis.
You did.
Now currently living in Atlanta. 2Deep is in the building. What's happening, man?
Man, what's going down? It's a blessing to be here.
Man, thank you for tapping in with us, man.
Yeah. We here to tap in. That's the name. So
That's
we
right.
Here. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Man, I met you probably about a month ago, so now.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Probably about a month.
And I just watched you do an interview with the girls with the
Real Hoe Talk.
Real Hoe Talk podcast, and I was like, I want to know more about dude. You know what I mean? I want to like, because you feel like, I don't know, like you have a way with words. You kind of have that star quality. I was like, I got to know more about it.
I appreciate
You know
that.
what I'm saying?
I appreciate that.
Man, coming from Memphis, man, what was it like growing up in Memphis?
Memphis is an interesting place, and I always tell people it's a city full of talent. It's a city full of culture. It's a city full of music, but it's also, we down south. It's the bottom, and it's the streets, and it's a lot of distractions. It's a lot of things that you're going to go through coming up because, you know what I'm saying, Memphis is a gritty city. And as each generation goes on, unfortunately, I feel like a lot of the traditions and a lot of the education that was given in other generations, it ain't as strong as it was. But, Memphis made me who I am. Like, if it weren't for the game that I got from Memphis, I wouldn't be who I am.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there certain, like I know with every city, every major city, there's like different sides of that
sure.
different city.
For sure.
What side of Memphis are you from? Or is there a certain like neighborhood where you grew up?
Okay, so they could probably see it tatted on me. I'm from Orange Mound, right? I'm from Orange Mound, Memphis, Tennessee. But I also represent for South Memphis just as well because, like, my great-grandmother, she had a home on Taylor Street, which is right up the street from a rap artist named Gangsta Black, right? So Gangsta Black, like a legendary artist from Memphis, Tennessee, Gangsta Black, Player Fly. All of them was from South Memphis. So my great-grandma, she stayed on the same street as him. So growing up, when he got with 3-6 Mafia and all that, I was just a kid, and I'm watching all this happening. I'm watching, 3-6 take off. I'm watching him take off. And so I got to represent for South Memphis almost as much as Orange Mound because I spent the majority of my time between both neighborhoods because when I'm not in the Mound, my mama dropping me off over there, and I'm getting the rest of my game over there. And even as time went on, that was the first independent label I used to deal with. They had their studio the next street over from that. So it's just so much history between both them neighborhoods for me, Orange Mound and South Memphis.
And so you could actively see it while it was happening, the takeoff of Gangsta Black. You could see it like in the neighborhood? Really?
Yeah, I was right there. Like I was a kid. So, I went from, watching him just walk up the street every day doing whatever he was doing to like, oh, yo, you doing shows. Yo, I see you out there with Paul and Juice. Yo, I see. And eventually, as time went on and I grew up, he would grow to embrace me and I would start opening up his shows. I would start going on the road with him and fly at times. And, we doing shows on the Chitless circuit while I'm 16, 15, 17.
Really?
Yeah.
Way back then.
Way back then. Yeah, I've been around for a minute.
Yeah. Okay.
For a minute, yeah.
So music has always been a part of your DNA from
Forever.
Really?
Forever. If we go back to when I'm 12 in school, I was the kid that's like, okay, you beating on the table and everybody wants to crowd around and hear rap. This was me from 6th, 7th grade all the way till I graduated. So me speaking, me entertaining people, me being comfortable in front of a microphone or on a stage, it's always been easy.
Really?
Yeah.
God, okay. And do you think anybody like put that in you, or was that just something where it was just kind of natural? Like anybody in your family like does music or is an artist, or where do you think that stems from?
To be honest, man, I think it was just God given. I think it was just my purpose. My pops, he used to play the drums for Melrose High School in Orange Mound. So, I got a little bit of that musically from him because I used to play the drums like in church. But man, I can't really say nobody else from my family was really just like deep into making music. That was just some that like, man, I wrote poetry. All these things were just things that just naturally came.
Really?
Yeah.
That's what's up, man. I wish I had some kind of musical bone in my body like that. I swear I wish I could. I love music and I appreciate music and I appreciate the creative part of making music. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where you can walk into a building and have nothing. You know what I mean? And then really go into creating and it becomes this big massive thing. I appreciate that process.
I love the process.
Yeah,
the process is a beautiful thing, like you said, to vibe with somebody and they play a couple sounds and then I could mumble a few things and then they feel me and I feel them, and before you know it, we've created this whole melody. We've created something that wasn't there 8 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And 5 minutes later, I got a verse. And 10 minutes later, it's recorded. And then you're like, whoa, like this shit came together. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, that's so fucking dope. Okay. And so where did that take you when you doing tours with Gangsta Black? Like, where does that take you? Did you branch off and start doing your own thing at that point?
Okay.
Or did you get signed with them? Or what actually happened from you doing the tours?
Okay, so basically what was happening was I was with a independent label called Mad Ghetto Entertainment. So they would have me opening up with Gangsta Black. I would do things like the Crunk Fest in Memphis. I would open up for Yo Gotti. I would open up for a lot of, different artists. And so we were just trying to really just situate my name because the plan was for me to eventually, do my solo thing. And I was doing things with my guy, King Muggsy, just like my brother. We was making records and stuff together. And but it just so happened over the years, it was a difficult process because at this time in Memphis, nobody really was making a lot of noise outside of, Black and Fly were doing their thing. But as I grew, it was like 3-6, Yo Gotti, Ball and G, and that was kind of it. For a long time, it was just like a weird space. It was hard to get out. So what happened was it eventually made me decide to take my talent to the street. So I said, I'm a press up my own music. I'm gonna get out here on this corner and I'm gonna make people respect it. So that turned into the plan. It went from, okay, I'm with the label situation and we trying to, figure out how to get a big deal and somebody to notice it, to I don't give a fuck if you give me a deal or not. I'm finna pop this trunk. I'm finna make this music, finna sell this music. I'm finna make people pay attention to me. And that was like my fresh, real introduction to music, because I really started making a big name for myself corner to corner. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Was what year is this? You talking?
Man, you gonna make me feel old.
No.
I might have started selling my mixtapes. Let's see, man. I probably was doing that 05.
Really?
I could have been maybe 05, 06. We talking, I'm talking like every neighborhood in Memphis. North Memphis, South Memphis, Westwood, Orange Mound, Fraser, like anywhere I had a baby blue 64 Impala. So this made me stand out. So at 16, that's when I got that car, and I specifically wanted the car because I wanted to be like, I love Snoop, right? So I was like, I rap. I told my grandma, I was like, man, it'd be dope if I could get that car. She was like, what kind of, you getting older, you know what I'm saying? Like, what kind of car you think you gonna want? I said, man, if it's anything I could get, that would be what I would want. So she was retiring soon, and she was gonna get some money from retiring. And I think she might have found a car from like an old dude for like $4,000 cash. And she surprised me with it. And man, the rest was history, because you got a picture being 16 years old with a 64
Impala. Yeah.
And then, so I get it. I started hustling, doing my own thing. And so I done painted it baby blue and I done put little rims on it. So, you know, it's a conversation piece. People stopping like, oh, you got music? Oh, this you? Like, and that's kind of like what really made me make a name for myself.
Yeah. God dang. That has to be like almost compared to being like a celebrity. You know what I mean?
Time, yeah.
Yeah, that's
At
like
that time, the police used to pull me over just to ask me about the car. Just to like, wow, just look it up. Cause you know, I'm 16, 17 riding around with this shit. So they was just wild by it. That the fact that I would even want it is crazy. And then the fact that I even found one in that condition was crazy. Yeah.
God dang. So let me ask you this. From that 16 to 17, and I met you from Rollo, right?
Okay. Yeah, Rollo the Pimp. Shout out my guy.
How did you get from doing music early age to going to...
Oh, the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting. Basically what had happened was, man, you know, music was always my passion, but the deeper I got into, you know, pushing my music, it had started to become like a cycle, right? Because I hit like I told you, it wasn't like they were just coming at this time like they are now, just signing a bunch of Memphis artists. It was like either you down with somebody who already made it, or you know, you kind of stuck in that space. So what was happening was I was dropping a lot of music and selling on the streets, and it was doing okay to be like on the streets, but it was like, all right, so what's next? Like, what I'm gonna do, just every 5-6 months, drop another project, go on the corner, sell it. The streets was getting smaller and smaller. So I'm like, man, if I really want to do this shit at a high level, I'm gonna need more money, and this ain't gonna cut it. You know, this is like how I'm gonna get to the next level. And man, I always had the game in me. I always had like a hell of a mouthpiece. I always had the gift of gab. It was just another thing. Everything you see me say or talk about it was natural. It wasn't like, you know, true enough, I was studying, you know, people that were good at it, but it was never a stretch. I never felt like anything that I do was hard for me to do. And so anyway, at 18, you know, I was performing at a show, opening up for Lil Flip, and I was telling this story on the Real Hoe podcast as well. You know what I'm saying? And a girl decided she wanted to fuck with me. She danced. And, you know, shit, I shot my shot. I was like, man, like, I got to do something different. I'm finna try to convince her, you know, to be on this type of time. And over time, it would lead to a bunch of different experiences because where I'm from, Memphis, is making these money, pimping, hoes, and style. That was like our culture. It's always been our culture. Memphis, like I say, Memphis, Oakland, certain cities, you know, your Detroit, your Milwaukee's, they player. They just, you know what I'm saying? Chicago, you know, it's a lot of cities, Houston, Dallas, some cities, you know what I'm saying? They breed a lot of player shit. And for me, I was like, man, like, I really want to do this shit, and I got love for the game. So, you know, I start, you know, hitting that highway. I start St. Louis, New Orleans, you know, wherever I could get my feet wet and start taking some chances, and eventually it worked out.
Yeah. See, here's my yeah. I would be so apprehensive of trying to convince a girl to do something. You know what I mean?
Right.
I would, because I had one experience where a girl was like, hey, I can get you some money or we can make some money, blah, blah, blah. But it was such a headache just in that one transaction. I was like, I can't do this shit.
You was like, I ain't built for this.
Yeah.
I ain't built for this.
Yes.
No, I get it. And see, it take a real person to acknowledge that. I think we in a generation now where a lot of people try to pick up on shit just because they see it on the internet, right? So like that whole culture now is so popular because, you know, you got all these girls doing OnlyFans, you got all these girls on the strip now, you got all the girls rapping about getting money from dudes. So when I first was jumping off the porch, it wasn't nearly as trendy and as popular as it is now. So it's a lot of people diving into this shit, and it's like, if you're not built for this shit, please leave it alone, because, you know, it's a lot of misfortune that you gonna go through stepping into some shit that you ain't ready for.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you have somebody like kind of like guiding you through that, or was you just kind of?
No. My friends, we guided each other. That's kind of how it went. I did. Now, once I got out, in other cities along the way, I did get to run into the pimping Kens and other guys who had already elevated and put it down and could, sharpen my sword. But I was already out my city. I was already with the shit. By the time I was starting to like bump into the big dogs, I was trying to figure out how to turn myself into one versus like, oh, I don't know what to do. And from day one, somebody like, okay, do this, go here, try this, try. I didn't have that. It was like, nah, go try it, fail, try it, fail, try it. Oh, you found something. And that, you know what I'm saying? That's what was happening.
Okay. How long did that initial first girl, when you were at a show, how long did she stay with you?
Man, that shit might have lasted on and off for some weeks. It was cute. She played with me.
Really?
I got a little money, but it taught me. And so that's what I mean by like, you got to fail to win, right? At that time, what she was doing for me was monumental because I had never experienced it. So even though it was just a few $100s here and there, it was like, oh, like you really putting this in my hand. You really believe in me. You really fuck with my game plan, right? So I'm like, if you'll do it, somebody else damn sure do it too. Even if you ain't doing it how you supposed to do it, it just let me know that it's possible. And so I would say after that, it was like a crack addiction. It was like, yo, like I gotta get it. Like, nah, fuck up. Yeah. If I could see a couple hundred, imagine when I run into that motherfucker who can make a couple thousand and ain't tripping on it. And and really want to go, run it up and really want to see me win. And so, yeah, it was on after that.
God. And I could see where any girl would be like, you know what? I fuck with 2Deep. I can see your charismatic. You had, like you said, you had the gift of gab. You know what I mean? You a decent looking dude. So they were like, yeah, I can see this nigga blowing up and being huge, and I just want to be a part of that. I can see why girls would be like, yeah, I could fuck with him like that. You know what I mean?
And I think that's why I think that was the difference in me and a lot of other guys that was in it. Shout out to God, because it was like my other talents is what always gave me balance. So no matter how deep I would get into the game, God would always do something to smack me back in the face and remind me you got something else you're supposed to be doing. You got another focus. So I would get, I would have these runs that were ultra successful. And then, something would happen where he remind me, you're supposed to be focusing on this music. Oh, what about the art? Oh, what about what you said you was going to do for your mama? What about what you said you was going to do when you got, now you just want some money. And I think you got to go through these things to have balance, because it's a dangerous game. When I rap and I make music and I tell stories, I tell people the good and the bad, because I don't never want a person to think that I'm glorifying all the things that I've done, whether I was good or bad with them. It's more so to give you an idea of who I am and tell you a story. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Do you remember the first time the girl put the money in your hand? You was like,
oh my God, yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
Oh yeah. Hell motherfucking yeah.
Tell that story, man.
Man, like I say, I said this a few different times, man. The first time it happened, I was so excited I couldn't do nothing but call my partners and just, hey man, if we in here. Like you would have thought I got a record deal. Because it's a beautiful thing when a woman makes the decision to tell you she believe in you, and then she show you with some money. In an era, in a time where now we got so many women who got their hand out asking you for some. When a woman say, hey man, look, I done went did XYZ and I want you to have it. Oh man, that feeling is yeah, it's different, man. Because she's saying, look, I respect you. I believe in you. And it's no disrespect to no man that doesn't live that way, but it's just a different way that type of woman views you, because she looking at you like, man, he's king. You know what I'm saying? He's king. And, I got addicted to that.
Really?
Yeah, I got addicted to that.
Do you ever run into any kind of like turbulence where when you send a girl, she ain't come back with it, or the dude was trying to play? You got a story you can tell?
I got a million of those. I would say this. What happens over time is people change, you grow, they grow, you adapt, you know what I'm saying? And they make decisions based on how they may feel. Women are emotional, right? Like women are very emotional. So with me, it was plenty of times. I remember this one time, I had this chick, and she might have been around me a year or two. And I remember she was like, oh, I got this situation. I'm finna go meet with this dude. It's gonna be for like $500. Don't worry, I'm cool. Da 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 da. So, I drop her off. It wasn't no Uber or none of that shit back then. You know what I'm saying? Everything seemed A1. I go back to pick her up. She got the trick halfway protecting at the door, like, oh, she ain't going nowhere, and she finna blase this and blase that. So I'm like, so you really honestly think and believe that this trick is finna be the gateway? Meanwhile, he just saving you for the moment because he wants some in-house pussy.
Yeah.
So he probably, that shit might have lasted all of a few days. And she was back on my phone line, trying to figure out how to get back to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's just, again, women are emotional. So at that time, she didn't let the trick get in her head and convince her, oh, he don't value you. He don't do this. You need to let me do this and that. Of course he gonna tell you he's a trick. He, you know what I'm saying? He excited to have this young 23-year-old blonde in the house with him walking around half naked. But when you sit there with the trick for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and y'all realize y'all ain't got shit in common, reality starts hitting. Oh, he just wants some pussy. Yeah. He don't. Yeah. Shit, man.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Man. And I seen a video online of you, and excuse me if this may be triggering, but I think it was your grandmother or your mom passed, and you spoke at the funeral. And I was like, this probably is 2Deep's calling versus anything else, because the eulogy that you gave, I was like, this is God sent. You know what I mean? The way you was talking about, and you gave a message. I forget the exact message, but you was like,
you're like, she gave me a toolbox.
Yes. Yeah. And I was like, this ain't no player shit. This is something that's spiritual that you saying at the funeral. And it felt like everybody that was there was like, yes. They was giving you those amens. They was giving you like those confirmations where I was like, maybe this is his calling versus either music or in the game.
Let's go there. Okay. So my grandmother, again, who was like my mother, she was a preacher. So, my whole life, growing up, I was in the church. I couldn't get away from it. You know what I'm saying? I was the one that chose the path that I chose. She did everything she could do to try to keep me out of the street. Excuse me. But these natural talents, they just was in me. I couldn't get away from it. I didn't see myself being like, I'm going to clock in and work for somebody, and I knew that I had these skills. But, I honestly feel like I was chosen to go through the things that I go through so that I could be a testimony to others. Because it's a lot of people that come from the streets and a lifestyle, but a lot of people don't know how to speak to every demographic, right? Like you might put a certain kind of street nigga in a room with business people, he don't know how to talk. And then you might put the business person in the room with street dudes and he don't know how to talk. And so I just happen to have so many different experiences over the course of my life and the way that I was raised that I can identify with everybody. So the moment that you saw captured was just reality. I'm gonna be honest with you. When my mom passed, you know, that shit you see on my chain right now, that was like the ultimate piece in my life that made me who I am. So to give you some insight about like my life, we could start from day one. At 2 months old, she took me in. My pops was on crack, 80s baby. You feel me? So you know, I grew up watching him be on drugs on and off. Shout out to him because he done shook off him now. But you know, I grew up walking by the crack house and seeing him walk out. I grew up with my basketball goal getting stole. You know what I'm saying? And she was there always like, nah, it's going to be okay. And so my promises growing up was like, yo, I'm going to make it up to you for what Pops is putting you through because he on this shit right now. And then my mom's, she was like a product of group homes. Like, you know what I'm saying? So she ain't really know what to do with me. You know, she didn't grew up in group homes. I got an older brother now who got put up for adoption that I ain't never even met. You know what I'm saying? So that was probably going to be my path had my grandmother not took me in. And so she gave me all these values, and she was an excellent speaker herself. So I feel like I got a lot of that ability to speak from her because I would watch her preach and I would watch her study, you know, the word around the house and watch her prepare for it. But the moment you saw, man, I didn't plan that. That wasn't, everything I said was off the cuff. I wasn't planning to give a eulogy. That was actually what you saw was they give 2-minute intervals where people can express how they feel at funerals. The plan was for me to not let my 2 minutes go by and let me just make sure I get up here and say something. I can't let this moment pass and not say nothing about my mama. By the time I got up there and started talking, the people cheered me on and told me to keep going. And so after the funeral was over, it turned into like, man, you really did the eulogy. Like it wasn't nothing else to be said. You said everything. There was literally like, it was at least 50 people on and off coming to me after, you know what I'm saying? Like shaking my hand, looking at me like, yo, like, and I was just trying to tell people like, that wasn't me. That was God telling me what to say. When I first stepped up there, the first 30 seconds, I thought I was about to cry. If you watch the video, the first 10 to 15 seconds is me trying to figure out how to get my words out without breaking down. And it was like something tapped me on the back of my head and was like, you know what you got to do, don't it? Suck it up. Talk. And everything just started flowing. You know, everything just started coming. So I say that to say, you know, there be God. There be God speaking through you, working through you. Same thing. It was a pain that I did of my mother before the funeral that I had. At the funeral, I might have painted her like maybe the day, 2 days after she passed. Man, I feel like God had the paintbrush. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm talking about, because I don't know how I was able to be motivated to paint mom. She just died. But it was like, man, I looked up 2-3 hours later, I was like, oh my God, this is hard. This mama, like this is the one. And crazy story, the painting that I had painted, you know, I wind up months down the line. I'm in my shower. I start crying because I couldn't even grieve, right? I couldn't even grieve properly when it was happening because it happened. Everything was just domino. And I felt like I needed to just be the man and like keep everybody else cool because like that's how I'm programmed. Like I've never been programmed to process trauma properly. You know what I'm saying? Her daddy died on my prom day. You see what I'm saying? Like I done been through a lot of traumatic shit. Her daddy died on my prom day, and I still end up going to the prom and rapping at my prom, and then I had a car accident after my prom and her Cadillac. All this happened on my goddamn prom. I'm telling you just events to where so much shit has happened in my life where I'm just programmed to accept what has happened and then react and keep pushing forward. Anyway, long story short, the painting that I had painted, I'm in the shower when I started crying. And I get out the shower and I look at my arm and I remember the same painting is what was tattooed on me of her 20 odd years ago. I wasn't even thinking about it when I picked the picture of her I wanted to paint. Because I don't even pay attention to the tattoo no much. I got this tattoo of my mama say, make you proud on my arm. I been had this face. Who knew 20 years later that'll be the same picture that I'm painting when she passes, which ends up being the same picture that's on my chain, which ends up being the same picture that's on the program at her funeral. All these situations happen for a reason. It be God. He has a plan the whole time. Whether you know it or you don't know it, you're working his plan. You're working his strategy. So at that moment, I just felt like it was a culmination of events. And he was speaking through me, and he was telling me what to say, and he was telling me what people needed to hear. And I meant every word of it because that's truly what she did. She gave me a toolbox. She gave everybody she touched a toolbox. She gave all us different jewels and tools, wisdom and things that we could use to make us better at this thing we call life. So when people look at my Instagram, you know, or people listen to my music, you're not just going to get the pimping. Yeah, you're going to get some of that because, you know, that's the life I've led. But more importantly, you're going to get some wisdom. More importantly, you're going to get some game. More importantly, you're going to get some reality. More importantly, you're going to get something you can relate to. More importantly, you're going to get those same tools that my mama tried to give me when she was telling me what to do and what not to do. And just because I strayed off the path doesn't mean I'm just not as educated enough to tell you. In fact, I'm more educated enough to tell you because I've lived it. You see what I'm saying? It's easy for a person that did all the right shit to tell you what not to do. Talk to a person that did it and fucked up and had to suffer a lot of consequences. He gonna be able to tell you it from a space where you can relate.
Yeah.
That's why these young niggas don't like to oh man, you ain't never been outside. You don't know what I'm going through. And I can look them in the face and say, yeah, I know both sides. I know exactly what you're going through. I know exactly how you feel. I know exactly how I feel to get locked up. I know exactly how I feel to be on your last $122 and that bitch left you. You're stranded in that state and you don't know where your next dollar gonna come from and you trying to figure it out. Man, I've been there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Man. Yeah. I think the best teachers or the best persons to give advice is people who've been through it, who got knocked down, who came out of it. You know what I mean? I think people like yourself, people like Wallow, people like Gilly, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
People who have been there that can say, listen, I've been down this path. You don't want to go down that path.
Mm-hmm.
This is where you get to the money. You know what I mean? This is how you really want to do it. But let me ask you this. Do you think if somebody like yourself was telling you, hey, 2Deep, you don't want to go down this path, would you have took that advice without you having to touch the fire and make sure that, oh, shit, this is it really is hot?
No. And I'm going to tell you why. Because coming from where I was coming from, and being so hell-bent on what I was trying to do, at that time, it was like, it was the best possible conduit for me to do it. You feel me? I had tried the dope selling. I had caught 2 charges in college. I knew, you know, I was supposed to go to college. I knew that, like, you know, that way of hustling wasn't for me, even though I you know, eventually got me a little bit money out of it and I was understanding where I went wrong. It was like, bro, like, my mouthpiece is my jewel. It's my thing. It's my skill, you know? And, you know, when they say the phrase, it ain't no money like whole money, it's the only thing that, man, you could go to sleep with $100, you could wake up with 10,000. You see, like that fast.
Yeah.
Like with no investment, with no motherfucking college education. Literally, she can meet one motherfucker, have a conversation, might not even have sex with the dude. And all of a sudden, your whole fucking situation changed.
Yeah.
So I think what it became about is understanding, but it's levels to everything. So, you know, understanding the game and understanding that, you know, it's just a way to go about things. You know, you don't have to do everything from a street level. You know, I tell people all the time, in my opinion, Hugh Hefner probably the biggest pimp of all time. You know what I'm saying? We just don't look at him that way because he found a way to do it legally. But if as, you know, African American players, we thought the same way, we thought it's big, you know what I'm saying? Then maybe we could make it to that level. But we be so concerned with looking at street shit from a street perspective, we rarely attain anywhere close to that level of success where we can also be free and live to tell you about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I know that's like your previous life. Like, what brought you back to the music or did the music ever leave where you was kind of dibbling, dabbling here and there?
I wouldn't say that the music never ever left because I always kept recording. I always kept like having it in me, but it was a time that got dark for me. And I ain't gonna say like I gave up, but I was highly discouraged at the temperature in the music game because I always love to make music. You know, whether I always tell people I'd rather be infamous than famous anyway. Like, you know, you got Nipsey on the wall behind you. That's the same mindset I always had. I share a lot of things in common with Nipsey. I used to sell my music on the corner. I'm very big on being independent. I'm very big on not going against what I represent as a human being just to get money or attention. Like, I'm not with the cloud chase. I'm just me, right? And so I had got discouraged because it's like, damn, like I done did all this work. Like I told you asked me a question. I told you about shit I was doing in 04, 06, 07. Like I was a young dude, you know, doing all these things. And I'm like, damn, like, why my time ain't came? Like, I'm still in the streets. I'm still taking chances I don't feel like I should be having to take. And I didn't see, like, where the light was going to come from to where I was going to get that opportunity again. And it was kind of discouraging. The chicks I was dealing with at the time, they was taking me through it. The money wasn't coming like it was used to. And I remember I think that I had first moved to Atlanta, and I was trying to figure out that transition because I had came from New Orleans at the time, and at that time I was living like fast. I was kind of like, man, however I gotta play this shit to get my money, I was with it, and I started going through a lot of shit. 2 home invasions. My partner got killed. 9/21, rest in peace. And so, going through these situations, it was changing me. It was like, whoa, like this shit ain't as sweet as it was. Even though I had been through plenty of shit, going through them home invasions was like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like the one home invasion was at my house, and like the chick I was dealing with, her daughter just so happened to be at the babysitter across the street. So luckily she went in the house when they ran in the house. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, like 3-4 dudes running the house, AKs, mask on. You know what I'm saying? At this time, I'm young, having my way. I got the old school outside. I got 2-3 Cadillacs outside. I'm living my life. I'm thinking, I got this shit figured out. Yeah. Boom. So that happened. So then, you know, it's another situation in which, like I say, my partner, 9/21, we grew up, you know, pimping, doing our thing together. You know, he get killed in Houston, and the next day, I get in a home invasion, going like grab some weed and some lean. I'm going to grab some weed and some lean. You know what I'm saying? And I'm in the house, and next thing I know, I'm getting ready to walk out the door. As I walk out the door, I'm talking to my my homeboy about what happened to my guy that just died. So he was a good nigga, man. He was a solid dude. Blah 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 blah. He let me out the door. As he let me out the door, boom, they coming in. They really there for him. I'm just wrong place, wrong fucking time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, ain't no way this other home invasion to happen. Then my partner get killed. Then the next day, I damn near think I'm about to get killed because it's another home. Like this literally was like 24 hours from each other. So it was so much that was happening that was discouraging me. And then, so I moved to Atlanta, and I'm trying to transition into like really focusing on my music. Cause everybody was like, bro, you too talented. You need to get the fuck out of New Orleans. You need to stop moving like that. Like, get more legitimate about your life, cause you gonna fuck around and die. moving the way you moving, right?
Mm-hmm.
And man, I ain't gonna say I was depressed, but I just didn't know if it was gonna be possible to attain the level of success from music like I wanted, because I was so hell bent on being me and being real, and I didn't know if the industry was even built anymore to accept somebody as authentic as myself, you know. But I knew I still wasn't willing to sacrifice not being myself to make it, and it was tough. It was tough, you know. I never lost my skill set, but it was tough. And I'm gonna tell you what opened me back up was the internet. The internet changed my total. I know some people complain and they be like, "Oh, the internet," but for me, it was like, "Oh, this is perfect," because it gave me a stage. All I needed was a fucking stage, right? So when I was younger, the block was just like my stage, or, you know, open up for people was my stage. But once I got in the streets, it's like I'm in the streets every day, like I'm doing music as I can do the music. But now you telling me from the comfort of my home, I got my own personal fucking stage every day to show you how dope I am. This is light work. And so once I start, you know, of course, in the beginning, so, you know, when we talk about 8-9 years ago, social media was one way, but like the last 4-5 years, as these algorithms and everything has changed, it's opened it all the way up, that's kind of how I got back into the art. Because now all them relationships I built over the years, all them hands I touched, all that music I dropped, now them same people can look at me every day and be like, "Oh shit, I didn't know you could paint too. I'll shop with you." It gave me a product to help reinvest in the music, because that was the problem with the music was, man, I was investing, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50, $100,000 chasing this rap shit. And I'm like, bro, like, this shit is fugazi. Like, I'm dropping money out. I'm doing the promo tours. I'm shaking the hands. I'm doing this shit out my fucking pocket. And I'm like, bro, like, how do I make money back? You feel me? Like, if I'm paying $4,000-$5,000 to get on the radio and y'all spinning my shit in the middle of the night, how the fuck? You know what I'm saying? I ain't even got time to come back to Shreveport, to come back to Alabama and make sure you're doing right by my money. I gotta go chase some more money so I can keep feeding the machine. And that shit was woo. That was discouraging.
Yeah. I can only imagine that. Like, I think that's part of the game people don't even understand, or people don't even, new artists, they don't even understand, like, if I'm investing in this, how do I get my money back? How do I make money from publishing? How do I make money from radio spins? You know what I mean? Streaming. Like, most people don't even understand.
They don't.
Yeah.
It wasn't till I sat back, like I said, and I understand this Instagram era, and I started realizing, okay, let me stop focusing on the music and focus on the business of music and the product. And all along, I had the product, which was the art. The art is the best possible product I can have because it separates me from everybody. Everybody can't paint. Everybody can't draw, and everybody can't create things within the cultures that I've been a part of. So my instinct to create is different, because people gonna be like, "Oh, this nigga paint," just like making music. I can paint around things that I've lived through. So it's gonna touch people different who living through the same shit, because they like, "Oh, I know him from when he paint that shit there, like, it hit me different." You feel me? And so it took me, once I realized that excited me again. It got my creative juices back flowing again, because like now I'm like, okay, I can invest in my music while also doing something else that I love. And I had to understand I gotta format my business like a business. Why didn't I get serious about the LLC that I created and about running it right? Like, I had opened the LLC before, but I wasn't studying running it and operating it right. I was just still hustling and throwing some money in a bank account. Now it's like, okay, now I'm really thinking like a company. I'm really moving like a company. And so my advice is, really, any independent artist, man, if you're serious about music, dog, you got to operate like the company would. You got to use your resources to make a profit. Just making music and putting it out and praying something happen, dog. Nah, that ain't it.
Yeah. Give your Instagram in case people want to check out your, because I know you have 2 Instagrams, one for your personal and then one for just paintings and drawings.
Facts.
Yeah, give your paintings one because I want people to check out your drawing.
My art.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. At Game for Sale Artwork. So everything I do is based around Game for Sale. So 2Deep TV, that's like my main page where I drop jewels. I give my perspective. You might see clips from podcasts. You might see me giving game about just life shit. And then you're going to get some music. And then you got Game for Sale Artwork _ where I do custom paintings for people. I create paintings based around my own ideas, whatever my perspectives are. Then I have another page, Game for Sale Entertainment, where I kind of, it's like a faceless page where I kind of drop, memes that I relate to or people in my lifestyle would think are entertaining. And so all these platforms kind of work together. And I separated them like that purposely because I knew one day as they grew, people were going to be fans whether they even realized they were fans or not. Because one person might like me for music. One person might like me for art. One person might like me because he relate to the random shit that I post. But once he looks up and hold the fuck up and you do all these different things. Like, I love this shit.
Yeah.
And so now I think that's what it's starting to become for the people that has been paying attention. Now they like cult fans because they like, oh shit, bro. Like, you do so many varieties of shit. Like, I fuck with it. This is dope. Like, I ain't seen nobody like you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Hell yeah. Have you ever thought about getting into acting?
I have, actually. Fun
Really?
fact. Okay, so when I was in middle school, shout out to my grandmother again. My grandmother didn't want me to go to Melrose like my pops. She made me go try out for a creative and performing arts school. So it was a school called Colonial and a school called Overton. And I had to, draw and show my, abilities to be accepted in the school or whatnot because it wasn't in my district. Anyway, when I was younger, I didn't take drama in the school, but I was in a play. I was in The Color Purple at the Orpheum. And Harpo himself taught me my lines. So I got, a early piece of that acting in because, Color Purple and being able to be taught by the actual guy that I'm playing was like monumental. And for me to even get a role that large without that experience that young was dope. So I've always had that ability. I just don't feel like the proper time has come where the stars have aligned for me to like really try to get some roles and really do stuff. But I think as my platforms are starting to grow, I've actually got more people start to reach out because now we got Tubi and we got all these other outlets where people is like, yo, I'm shooting some shit. Like, I think you will be dope to play this character. And so I'm very open to it because like, it's not hard for me. Like, I promise you, like it's not, I'm a real on the fly type of guy. And I think the only thing that's hard for me is just like remembering a lot of lines. But outside of that, like jumping into character or being able to show emotion is really natural for me.
Really?
Yeah.
I had this idea for you that I thought about it, and I don't even know if you may even be open to it. Let me ask you this before I tell you what the idea is.
Go ahead.
Do you think you can teach Gift the Gab?
To some degree. But again, like we say all the time, it got to be in you, not on you. Now, what I can do is, like say on my Instagram, I offer like consultations. So if something like for those that follow and they like, oh, I would love to talk to 2Deep and pick his brain and ask some questions and get some game. Like I do consultations where I might charge somebody to talk for 30 minutes and they can ask me questions and I could give them, insight on how they could be better with their mouthpiece or how they could deal with a woman or how they could, deal with music better, whatever the case may be. But what I will say, man, the gift of gab, it's gonna take tightening your bolts in so many areas, because not only do you have to be a smooth talker, but you got to work on your vocabulary. See, for me, because I wanted to be a great rapper, it was certain steps that I took in my youth that I'm appreciative that I took them, because now they pay off. And for instance, when I was 12, I used to go to every class. From about 12 to maybe 16, 17, I would probably carry a dictionary and a thesaurus with me to every class. So what would happen was, I would be in class. I didn't like school like that, but I'm just naturally intelligent. So, I'm going to listen enough to answer a few questions, then I'm going to draw. Then when I get tired of drawing, I'm going to pick up the thesaurus and a dictionary. I'm going to write a rap. The purpose of the thesaurus and the dictionary was to educate me on new words and different words that I would be able to use to replace the small words. Because I'm like, look, I don't want to say this in a normal way. So out on top of me reading in the dictionary, I need the thesaurus to show me another word to insert just in case that word ain't dope enough. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm using that to say these are things that are priceless, because the whole time I was educating myself. So when I got older, my gift of gab, my vernacular is spectacular, because it's like, yo, you ain't preparing at 12, 13 to have such an extensive vocabulary, but I was. Yeah. So I'm already a bunch of steps ahead of you, because you might say the same shit to her, but you ain't gonna say it like I'm gonna say it. Yeah. It ain't gonna sound as cool. It ain't gonna sound as smooth. It ain't gonna sound as over the top. It ain't gonna sound as intellectual. It's gonna be cool, but man, this shit gonna hit different. So I think it's a certain level of research that you gotta do for yourself, also to have that gift. Because, like I say, it ain't just about a motherfucker telling you what to do. You gotta have charisma, and charisma is something that's like, it's kind of natural. Like, you can study it, you can learn some of it, but some people just got that thing you can't put your hands on. James Brown was James Brown, whether he went to a school to be James Brown or not. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? If James Brown walk into a room, you feel me? The energy gonna shift. You're like, motherfucking James Brown, this motherfucker. You feel me? Yeah. It's different. Certain motherfucker, David Ruffin. I'm just saying, like, when you think entertainers, certain people have that thing. You don't know, like, you just can't put your finger on it. Yeah. Everybody don't got that shit.
Yeah. Nah. And the reason why I asked that is because I had an idea. I was like, you ever seen the show The Pickup Artist?
I haven't, but I've heard of it.
So for those who haven't heard of it, it's a show where this white guy is showing these nerds, these squares, if you will, people who not comfortable talking to women. He's showing them how to pick up women.
Kind of like that Will Smith movie.
Yes.
Okay.
Like Hitch.
Yeah, like Hitch.
Yes.
I like Hitch.
Where he was showing them how to pick up women, how to talk to women.
Thanks.
I was thinking a reality show starring you where you have 5 to 7 guys and y'all go out on the town and you show them different pickup lines or different strategies on how to pick up chicks.
That is like $1 million idea. I would absolutely listen. Whoever watching, right? We're gonna go and pitch this shit right now. He just came up with the idea. I'm down for it. Put the fucking money up, man. We gonna make some money together. Like, I would absolutely love to do some shit like that. I think it's creative, and I think it's dope because you've never had somebody do that from a ex-pimp's perspective, right? Like it's one thing to get it from the like you said, like a Will Smith type of guy. Like, you're like, oh, he cool, he's a gentleman, he's a player, woo, woo, woo. But you talking about getting that shit raw and uncut from a dude who done dealt with all different kinds of women for a couple of decades. Oh, that would be a hell of a show.
Yeah.
That would be a hell of a show. Hey, man, reach out. Where y'all at? Hey, Zeus Network. We here, man. Tap in.
Yeah. I think that'll be a fire idea because from the white show, the Pickup Artist, the show, is he had like technical terms like, hey, if you get 2 or more girls in the circle, this is called a something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think from your perspective, it'll be a whole lot different.
Oh, come on.
Where the common man could be like,
Yeah.
this is how we get the attention of 2 girls in a circle, because mostly girls run in packs. You know what I mean? And so how do I get the one girl attention? I think that should be fucking dope.
Man, that shit would, hey, I'll shake your hand to that. That's $1 million idea, man. So I'm serious. Somebody need to see this one and tap in, because I think people told me all the time, like people have come to me with ideas like, man, they think it would be dope for me to have some form of reality show. But that one, no one ever came with an idea like that one. That's different. That's distinct. And I think, a lot of men have the issue of they lead with money. And they don't understand that, leading with money, 90% of the time, it ain't going to get you what you think you really want. Yeah. You may end up with that bombshell of a woman that you want, but does she respect you? Does she value you? Will she go through hell and hot water for you? Probably not. Because you led with the money. She's there for the money. When the money runs out, she is gone. And so when you are a man of value, when you are a man that has, something special about you, so has some integrity, has some character. And let me say this too. Men don't understand. This has been how it is from the beginning of the time. Women want the man that other women want. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, when a quote unquote square or trick type of dude invest all this money into the chick, the one thing that you still don't have working for your favor is like, it ain't crowds of women buckling down trying to chase you to because they like you. They want some money from you. And every woman that's on some gold digger shit, she realized that. So she may get the money from you, but she'll still go fuck Tyrone, who don't got shit.
Yes.
Why? Because a lot of girls still like Tyrone. Cute.
Yeah.
He ain't got shit. He play video games all day. But it's just something about fucking Tyrone, man. Every time I go to Tyrone, he gonna fuck the shit out of me and he gonna lie to me good. And he ain't gonna do none of that shit he said he's gonna do. But I love Tyrone. And I'm not saying be Tyrone.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is you could do every fucking thing in the book to make that bitch happy. And she still a go fuck with Tyrone because it's something different about him. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have that thing, lead with the money ain't gonna solve your motherfucking problem.
Right.
Facts.
Right. God damn. Yes. Man, 2 Deep. When we expect new music, or when can we expect what's coming up? What's coming next?
Man, come on. I'm happy we got to the music. So I got a 2-part project right now. Grateful for the Game Chapter 1. Grateful for the Game Chapter 2. They out right now. Now, I've got plenty of music. Go tap in, get my music, because I got all kind of shit. Been putting out shit forever, but I wanted to do something different. Shout out to my guy Hot Rod, my producer, been rocking with me since day one. And I wanted to create a new format for how I put out my music, because I feel like the time that we're in, everything is so cut and dry and it doesn't last long, right? Mm-hmm. People attention spans are way shorter. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna give you an example. When you grew up, I'm pretty sure you from Texas?
No, I'm from LA.
You from LA? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll give you this example. When you grew up, if an NWA album came out, a Dr. Dre album came out, I'm just saying these examples from LA. How long do you think you could ride that album?
Shit, back then, I had to go get the album. I would listen to it. Me and my boys would listen to it. We would pick what songs we like.
Right.
Like, it could be 6 months that we will live with one album.
But one album.
Yeah.
And it was a moment in time.
Yeah.
It was like a time capsule.
Yeah.
And they could tour the next year off that album.
Yeah.
And you going back to moments and you're reading the lyrics and you cared about it, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I'm like, I had to repurpose my music around my personality and who I am and reintroduce myself. So Grateful for the Game, I describe it as an audiobook. Because it's like a documentary of my life in audio form, and I'm giving people chapters. So I don't know when I ever stopped dropping chapters of this, but I said what my plan was. I want to drop a chapter 1, chapter 2. We're gonna get to a chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, whatever the God fits me, because what I know is we're in the streaming era, right? So as my platforms grow, okay, you might not hear of me till I drop chapter 3. But I know how good this shit is. So once you hear chapter 3, what you naturally gonna go back and do?
Go check chapter 2. Let me see what chapter 1 and chapter 2 is.
Bam.
Yeah.
And so that's the setup. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm like, okay, like we're in a society where everything is microwavable now. So people get these projects, they ride them a couple months, if that, and they like, so what else you got next? So I'm like, nah, I'm gonna get you out that box. You may get on me like that, but I'm gonna force you into going back and doing your research. And then once you do your research, it's gonna become a part of your everyday life. So now I get people who just got on me who like, hey man, such and such, man, it's dope. Then they go back and be like, hold up, bro, I ain't know you had a chapter 1. Then they might hear chapter, man, let me go back to some shit you did 5-6 years ago, because it makes you want to do your research and see if the level and the quality of music has always been like that. And so that's what I'm trying to breathe back into the rap game. Is like, I'm hell-bent on making classic projects. And it doesn't mean the time it got released, it has to be received as it. It may take 5 years for people to catch up and be like, oh shit, I get it. But I know you're gonna get it because I know the quality is there, the thought process is there. An artist that I love right now, Killer Mike. He's just now probably getting his just due in the game, even though he's been around, even though he's had success, even though he's dropped, phenomenal records with Outkast. But it's like it took all this time of him reintroducing himself and getting his business together and getting into politics and linking with T.I. and trying all types of things before the whole world was like, oh shit, you got a classic.
Yeah.
Here's 3 fucking Grammys, right? So I feel like that's what I'm having to do. I'm having to reintroduce myself and recalibrate every metric about myself so that people understand what you're doing is different. This shit is special. You're putting out high quality music, high quality art, you're dropping jewels, and all of this shit works together. And not only that, you ain't lying about none of the shit that you talking about. It's not a gimmick. It's not an act. It is completely non-fiction, relatable artillery that I'm aiming at your forehead, and you ain't gonna have to do nothing but sit there and get shot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's it. That's it, man.
Yeah. Is there anybody else that's featured with you on this, or you just it's just all 2D?
Definitely got features. Okay, so one of the top singles on chapter 1, MJG.
Really?
Yeah. I got a lot of love, admiration, respect for 8 Ball and MJG because they laid the groundwork for me being who I am. See, as we talk, this interview could go on forever. I got so much shit I can tell you. Okay, so growing up, one of my first mixtapes I sold on the streets was called Coming Out Hard Part 2 because I wanted to emulate and reiterate what Ball and G had already done. They from the same neighborhood. They was one of the first ones who I seen take it to where I saw took it to. And not only that, they was on some player pimp shit. So early, I was like, oh, this my shit. They from the hood. They play it like that shit had me want to get 10 bitches ASAP, right? So I make this mixtape called Coming Out Hard Part 2. And as I'm in the street selling it, I run into 8 Ball. I run into MJG. You're like, at this time, they coming through the neighborhood. They got the Cadillacs, the old schools, all that kind of shit. And, they would show me love, shake my hand. Hey, shout out, I like what you're doing, whatever type shit, right? So as time went on, I kept going. And I had this song called Something to Do where I was, my guy Hot Rod produced, and, in the hook of it, I was like, I'm riding down Park Avenue bumping 8 Ball and MJG. So around this time, I had started getting on the radio, like major. I had figured it out. All this was independent. I'm living in New Orleans, but I'm coming back and forth because my guy that helped manage me, DJ 007, You know, he works at K97, but we didn't finally figure out how to get the music played on Hot 107, which was more the rap station back then. So now I'm getting like 40, 50 spins a day on the record. So Ball and G, you know, we started building more relationship because they didn't see me go from selling my shit on the corner and I just running into this young nigga and he, you know, he's saluting us. It's like, damn, now this nigga's on the radio and he's still shouting us out, staying consistent. So we built a relationship. 8 Baller jumped on another record for me called Married to the Game. He had jumped on the remix of that. MJG featured me on another album. The first album I ever got on that got in the store was because of MJG. It was in Best Buy. It was called 2 Pimpin' 2.0. It probably was like 2010. So we got like real
records.
Yeah, genuine history.
Yeah.
And so I got this song called Iceberg. And when I made it, I was like, oh, this guy MJG written all fucking over it. Like, this is pimp tight. You know what I'm saying? So when a person hear this Iceberg record, they gonna instantly see why the collaboration makes sense, because I'm coming on there popping my shit and MJG comes straight in popping it. You know what I'm saying? Like you MJG in his prime popping that shit on there. And man, I appreciate the OG for doing that for me. And you know, just over the years, man, they've always supported. Even when they had the verses, I was there. 8 Ball shouted me out on the stage, showed me some love, and I got to see them face off with Bun B and UGK. Man, you know, down south legendary moment, and I was just happy to be a part of it. But the moment showed me how life comes full circle, because I still felt like that 17, 18-year-old kid that was on the block emulating them, just happy that they noticed me. And then fast forward 20 years later, and I'm like, oh, we're sharing a moment together at their verses, and I'm here, and I hear my name. It's dope. Yeah. So for anybody that want to hear some top-notch, high-caliber player shit, like that joint with me and MJG is dope. I also got records with Rollo the Pimp from Dallas, Texas. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's my dog. We got a couple of records, actually. We got one with me and Silky Slim on it called Something You Like. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Mr. Silky Slim. And then we got the Champion Pimp on the chapter 2. So me and Rollo got a couple of records on the projects. Also, like I said, man, it's a lot of other artists that I've been working with, a lot of other surprises that I got. But those are some of the most notable because they mean, so, you know, these are people who mean a lot to me. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna say too much of what else is on there because I want people to just play. I don't want people to skip. I want people to just, like, I promise you, my shit play like a book. You go to chapter 1 and it start the first song, Once Upon a Time, like, and you gonna go through it and you like, hold up. Like, this nigga done gave me so much life and 2 projects that I ain't like, man, if you gotta skip a bunch of songs, I cash app you $100. That's how confident I am in the music. Like, it's, like, trust me.
That's fire, man. That's so dope, man.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, that's so dope, man. Man, 2D, I could talk to you all day, man. I could. I swear I could. I could talk to you all day, man.
Hey, you might have to chop the interview up into 2 parts. Yeah. It's just, man, you know, I can't tell you my story and water it down. I have to give you, you know, different sides, the good, the bad, the ugly, because, you know, I want people, when they watch these podcasts, a lot of people make podcasts and they just try to say shit for clicks. I'm telling people my story so that they could genuinely interpret it and get something from it. Whether it's inspiration, whether it's apprehension, you know, whether it's, you know, he steered me from making that move, or whether he motivated me to make this move. It's like, this is what it's about. You know, 10 years from now, we want to have an interview to where somebody can go back to it and be like, let me re-listen to this because it was something that he said in there that I need to hear again. Yeah. And I think that's what a lot of these podcasts and a lot of these interviews lack, substance. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to produce content.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we could walk out the door and have a conversation, and that could be content.
Yeah.
But when we get to the steak and potatoes of what we're trying to create, what you're trying to create is timeless moments. You're trying to give people insight on things that they haven't had in their world, and if they had it in their world, they ain't had it from this space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Man. Leave your all your contact information, how people get a hold of you, how can they find the music. Leave all that, because I want to make sure that the people that's tapping in, that they can follow you.
Okay.
And get everything that you say, from the artwork to the music to just the regular meme shit.
Okay. No doubt. If you want to follow me at 2Deep TV. It's called 2Deep TV. The concept behind that was I wanted to have my own channel, basically. Instagram is full of all kinds of people, and I wanted to separate it and not just make it about the music. So I said, we're going to call it 2Deep TV, because you're going to get, my ideas, my thoughts, my wisdom, my comedy. In school, I was the class clown too. So, it's a lot of different sides of me, and I don't like to box myself in. I feel like one of the biggest problems in the game, people expect, when it come to like pimps, they try to box you in. Like you be like, oh, I'm a pimp. A motherfucker expect a motherfucker in a funny suit with a bunch of bitches smacking motherfuckers and shit. So like, my whole shit was like, it's 2024. Let me show you. It's like this shit ain't what you saw in the 70s or whatever you think. And even back then, it was pimps and players that was diverse. That just like the media didn't showcase enough of it, right? Like they make these movies and they interpret the pimps and the players as uneducated fools who could do nothing better else. Nah. When you talk about cats who high level, they intelligent, they smooth, they sophisticated. They got business skills. They got entrepreneurial skills. They just happen to be great with women, and it's the lifestyle that worked for them. This is the way to climb out. And so for me, it's important for me that I showcase all these different sides of me. So that's why it's called 2Deep TV in a nutshell, because I'm basically just producing different types of content revolving around who I am as a person for your entertainment purposes and for my therapy. Because it ain't even just to entertain you. It's to get these creative ideas out of my mind and give me balance to my life.
Yeah.
And then you got Game for Sale Entertainment. Like I said, that's where you're going to get the memes and, just entertaining content that I didn't produce myself, but just different types of things. And I also do like somewhat of a live podcast situation, not typically like a regular podcast, but where sometimes I might bring people on, interview them, talk to them in real time live, and just let the people take away from our conversations. I talk to a lot of girls, especially girls in the lifestyle, dancers, OnlyFans girls, and then sometimes I talk to players. Sometimes I talk to people who ain't even in the lifestyle. And just, we just conversate on some organic shit and just let the people entertain and be entertained by it. And like I said, I do those just live conversations. It ain't nothing planned out. It's spur of the moment. And we wind up having some entertaining shit happen often. And then Game for Sale Artwork, _ please follow, please shop. It brings me so much joy when I see somebody put some art that I created on their wall because art never dies. Art never dies, music never dies. And as I get older, it's important for me to sustain a legacy. Despite all the money that I've ever made in my lifestyle, and in my lifetime, I realized that, you got to spend that shit.
Yeah.
You can't take it with you. So that at some point it's cool, but it's almost meaningless to a degree, because it's just like, okay, money's cool, but you get money so you can buy shit and so you can do shit for other people and so you can carry out your dreams. In the grand scheme, you want to leave behind shit that impacts people forever, right? And so, the Mona Lisa will never be forgotten, right? Prince got songs, Michael Jackson got songs that'll never be forgotten, like, and plenty of other people. And so for me as an artist, you know, when people buy a piece of art from me, like that's gonna be my legacy. Like that's when I'm long gone from this world. You know, I'm gonna be able to take pride in, like, damn, I'm still on his wall. I'm still, you know, they still walk in their room and look at their family portrait I painted for them. They still, you know, because I'll just paint game related shit. Like I done painted all kinds of shit. I done had motherfuckers call me from jail and be like, do a family portrait for my partner and surprise him and ship it here. Like that shit be meaning something to me, because I'm like, damn, you in jail and you went through all this shit just to get me to paint something for your family member to surprise them. So Game for Sale Artwork _ that's that page. Follow me on YouTube at 2Deep TV also. And man, like, again, I want people to understand, like, I'm a genuine person. So when you come in under my shit or when you DM me, I can't see each and everything, but I try to react, I try to respond. And I'm just a genuine dude, bro. Like money don't make me or break me. It's about the people. And so when you say shit like, I feel like you preaching or you doing this and that is your calling, it's probably just because I understand that it's bigger than me. You know, I'm in a space where I ain't doing this shit just because I want another chain. I ain't doing this shit because I want another Cadillac. I done had a lot of them. Yeah. That's cool. But like the impact that I have on people, the inspiration that I give to people, seeing somebody face after I say something, seeing somebody after they listen to my music, it's priceless. It's like, I can't put a price tag on seeing somebody being excited about my God-given abilities and then feeling motivated and inspired to go create for themselves. So if you support me, if you support 2Deep, the Southern President, understand that's what you support. You supporting a genuine person. And I'm going to say this before I get off of her. That's the reason why my name is 2Deep, the Southern President, is because I've always felt like I had to campaign for mine. You feel me? I always felt like nobody wasn't going to give it to me. So I was going to have to show people and build a reputation. And, you know, no different from campaigning for a presidency. Like, oh, okay, so you don't want to vote for me. Let me give you multiple reasons why you should vote for me. A, my reputation is solid. You know, that's what, you know, when you think about a president, what's one of the first things you do? Yeah. You're like, okay, how was this motherfucker 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years? Oh, you was solid? Oh, we can't find a stain? Like, motherfucker get to making up shit because they don't want you to win. So, like, that's how I am. It's like, nah, it ain't no dents in my arm. I ain't saying I'm perfect, but, like, if I tell you that's what it was, that's what it was. Good or bad, happy, sad, mad. Like, that's what I went through, and I'm standing on that. And I feel like that's what we need in music. That's what we need in the streets. And that's my purpose. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. They're 2Deep, man. 2Deep. The name is very suitable, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate it.
Thank you again, man. I appreciate you for tapping in, sir.
Cut it out,
You know
man.
what I'm saying? I appreciate you.
I appreciate the blessing to be able to come here. I hope that we, you know, got some jewels out there. Hopefully people can take something from this interview, and I want to take the time to thank y'all right now, whoever gets to see this, whoever watching this. Again, I want to thank you for inviting me on.
Absolutely.
And man, hopefully, you know, months down the line as I continue to grow, maybe we do a follow-up or something.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? And let them know, hey, maybe by then we'll have that show.
Yes.
Somebody be then tapped in and said,
yes. Yes.
Let's give them that show. Yes. But man, I genuinely appreciate it, man.
For sure, man. For sure. Absolutely. Yo, man, thank y'all for tapping in, man. This has been the Tap In Podcast. Holla.